Oh, wait. It. Am I streaming? I might be streaming. Oh. Ooh. That. Oh. This. This is certainly something. Oh. Never before has this happened. Oh boy. Let's go. Woohoo. Alright, and so, well, for this, I'm I'm basically digitalizing a a sketch that I did for a poster idea. And so I have like my sketches and stuff in here, so there's that. So let's just start. I'm gonna probably start off with like the ears. Um, there you go. And the general look I'm going to be like sort of going for with this is slight horror-esque. So it's like very jagged, very unclean, unkempt even. And to make it just that much more unnerving, you know? And it's gonna be great. Let me uh change the background color. There we go. That looks like a good green for Leviathan. Or at least, how do I put it? A an embodiment of Leviathan. So, you may be wondering, like, why I sort of said, like, or made that sort of correction, and that is because for this drawing and like this sort of poster set that I'm making, um, I am specifically doing like the like I'm taking one of my characters and so taking them to a different logical extremes, because that character of mine, who is named Cooper, uh, she she was a succubus, and she ended up eventually eating the demons that represented the seven deadly sins. That being Lucifer, Mammon, uh, Asmodeus, Lucifer, Satan, Beelzebub, Belphegor. Well, I actually got it right here. So Lucifer, Asmodeus, Leviathan, Belphegor, Mammon, Beelzebub, and Satan. The ones that I have check marks next to are the ones that I've already completed. Um, the posters for. Um, and yeah, and so with each of these different posters, I am taking the I the general ideas of Cooper and then superimposing the main features of each one of these like correspondingly onto it. Um, excuse me. And just sort of doing like general horror aesthetic in a way. Um, so yeah. Um, I might I might as well tell you more about this Cooper character. Um, so she she started out as basically like one like the lowest of the low, cause like she like there was a whole caste system for the different like sin demons and such. So like succubi and incubi and like the other like demons of the other sins. And there was like a whole caste system of like ranking, and there were all kinds of just rules that were just unnecessary and convoluting and nonsensical. And Cooper was on the very bottom of that hierarchy. Basically living in the slums, right? And the way you can tell a sin demon's like ranking is by the length of their tail, like well, their size, the length of their tail, and the naturalness of their skin. It's like if they have like a really natural looking skin color, uh, they are more than likely very low ranking. Um, and Cooper, when she first started out, was only a foot tall, and her tail was about 4 times the length of her body. And um she she had this real dark, rich umber skin and hair so dark it was almost purple. Um and she was just in a way insignificant. Even like other demons of her like status were larger than her and never really noticed her. And she didn't really like that. And like you can also tell what type of sin uh, one of them is related to by certain base features. So, like, for example, uh, wrath demons, they tend to be like much hairier, stuff like that. Um, like kind of having fur, and then envy fiends or demons are very dexterous and such. Um, and like pride demons have an ornamentation on their tail, kind of like an Ankylosaurus, you know. Um, and so on and so forth. Cooper was a bit of a chimera. She had traits from most of the different types of sins, which, as you might think, is most unusual. She had the fangs of a gluttony demon, the dexterity of a envy demon, the what's it called? The ornament, like the tail ornamentation of a pride demon, and unlike most succubi, which just have like a singular horn on the center of their forehead, she had two, one above each eyebrow. And yeah. And speaking of her eyebrows, just there's this one specific thing about her, this one specific little quirk of hers, personality / expression wise, that being that her right eyebrow is very frequently raised much higher than the other one, whether it be for intrigue or frustration, just about any emotion. When she isn't just neutral, her eyebrow raises. And that's not necessarily important to the story, but it's a good thing to just remember for like characterization and such. But Cooper also, unlike, was also different from other succubi by the fact that she could not sort of specialize. She couldn't find a niche, right? Because succubi and incubi, like, they invade dreams and stuff, they do lewd acts, but they gotta specialize. Like, they gotta find a specialization on what kind of stuff they do, right? So that way there isn't too much competition between individuals. Cooper could not specialize, right? And that's a big problem, because that meant she would starve. And that is no bueno. And so with that, like, she just, well, basically ended up starving for months on end. And she just was like wandered around, and eventually just getting to the point where, like, she didn't even really care about her own safety, and just wandered into like just dangerous areas and like places where there's like high like segregation between the different sins. She just went in because she wasn't really fully there. And so, and like eventually she, like, we're just going through some alleyways and such, she found a sloth demon who was like terribly injured, and she she that sloth demon just was not looking good. And it was like, it was like, it was in an alleyway between like a envy district and a wrath district, and that sloth demon had like all of these horrible wounds that were inflicted by some wrath demons. And when she saw this dude, her stomach rumbled and she drooled uncontrollably like a rabid dog. And she could not help herself in her hunger. And she just dug in. She just like began tearing the dude apart, who like started screaming and such. And she just like clawed out like chunks of the dude's flesh and just shoveled it into his mouth. And she like tore off like his limbs and such. Like she bit the tendons so that when the dude tried to crawl away, when she got tired of its screaming, she clawed out the larynx, and then she just licked the blood off the ground, and in just minutes she completely devoured this sloth demon. Even the bones were gone. It was as if they were never even there. And then she noticed that she grew. She got physically bigger after like eating this sloth demon. And in like a brief movement in lucidity, like she just felt like all her body like sort of frantically like, oh god, I've changed, like, oh, like feeling all these changes. And then she began to laugh. She she laughed at like the Chancellor of the Sin, the people that were basically perpetuating this whole system. These guys. She was laughing at them, and she basically thought, like, no longer shall I be starved of the adoration I so deserve. Soon all of hell will have its head turned towards me. And that is what basically happens. Like, over the course of a total of 150 years, she grew in size by like devouring other demons and such. And quickly rose up the ranks. And even though, yes, I did say 150 years, which to us isn't a long time, but for like demons and such, that's quick. And she ended up becoming like second in command to Asmodeus, the Chancellor of Lust. And was even prominent enough that the chancellors had begun debating on whether or not they should make Cooper an eighth sin. They basically make a whole new position, right, to for Cooper to be in, or to be the ruler of, in a way. And they like called this big meeting that like involved all of like the like all fiends that had a ranking to basically be present. And so that was like a big deal, right? And in that meeting, like once it got to like break time, it what's it called? She began to make her move. So yeah. So there's all of that. Yeah, she's a lot. And you know how I said that like she was uh 20 well 1 foot tall initially? By the end, uh she became 24 feet tall. Including her horns. And her hair became fire. As you might be able to tell with the general shape that I did with the hair here. There we go. And then so yeah. She and like she eventually like by the time she was like 24 feet tall, she had like traits from all of the different like sins and gained the coloring of a wrath demon. So there is that. And like the wrath demons are like this bright red. So yeah. They the what's it called? She and by the way, like she is a curvy thing. It is like it's almost like you know like Jessica Rabbit, right? From Who Framed Roger Rabbit. She got hips and ass that puts her to shame, and so little waist that you wonder where her organs are. Um, but it's balanced. Yeah, basically she is the hourglass figure. Um, but the thing is that is not normal for a succubus in like my version of the sort of continuity for this. My interpretation of like succubi is that they they're actually like just for their like base forms, they're flat ass, flat chest, but that leaves for like ability to like shapeshift and alter themselves. Basically, it acts as a blank slate. Cooper, uh, she for a succubus would be deemed as overweight. Like especially for her size. And is she Cooper is also a sassy thing. She she got that attitude, that narcissism. And all kinds of other problems that would make her a very not good partner. Yeah. You would not want to date Cooper, not just because she'd crush you with her fat ass, but also she's just toxic. So there's that. Let's see. What else can I talk about? Well, some of the stuff that's going to be going on for me soon. I'm going to be starting school again. So, yippee. That's going to be wonderful. I'm both excited but also not excited. Because, like, well, part of the reason why I'm not excited is because I don't get to sleep in as much anymore. When but there is also like just travel time is just like college is exhausting. But I do kind of look forward to like my last class of the day, because it was with a teacher that I actually kind of like. yeah, I but in general, it's like I don't. I'm not a people person. I'm not used to, like, I'm not a person that likes a whole lot of change, and I sometimes have difficulty with like adjusting to new stuff. It's an autism thing. Um, and so there's just that anxiety, you know. Um, and um, it it's a lot, man. Also, I would have had like music like for the background of this, but I don't have like YouTube Premium or anything like that, so no like ad blockers. Well, I do have like the ad blocker with my browser, but I don't know. Um so yeah. Um let's see. Yeah. Another reason why I'm sort of uh just like nervous and such is because I'm going to be taking Spanish, and I am a very white boy. Um I cannot roll my R's even if my life depended on it, right? And I just have difficulty with mouth sounds oftentimes. And so yeah, it when I've had like Spanish in like high school and middle school, I like barely passed like the stuff when it came to like the speaking. Like I can like when it comes to like reading, yeah, I'd be fine. But actually having a conversation in like Spanish is um way too much of like a mental workload. Um and yeah, it really sucks. Um let's see. Let's start getting the face. Um yeah. Like, there's a certain like thing that one of my friends from high school would say, and like, he himself is of like Latino descent. Um and so he very much gets the pass for saying this, but one of the things that he'd say, I guess, make fun of both himself and um just like the language is no jalapeno espanol. which I have quoted once in front of one of my college professors who was, I believe, a like who came in from Mexico at like a very young age, something like that. But like he spoke very fluent Spanish, and I said that, and he shook his head like a disappointed father and just said, "Please do not say that ever again." And the whole class laughed. I I got him to do that kind of, like, I pulled off similar deviousness throughout the school year. Um just making him in a way almost like a disappointed dad, and I loved it. Um it was the class was British literature 2. Um so he was fun. In fact, he that college that I was going to at the time, uh, he there was like a school like magazine like thing, so like you could uh sort of submit stuff like literature and artwork that you've done, and it might get into that magazine, or it might get published by the school. He is one of the individuals that actually got 2 of my poems published. Um, so there's that, which I'm very proud of. Um, let's see. Yeah, okay, how should I go about this mouth? Time to look at some references. Pinterest, be my friend here. Uh, I have an idea. So, let's see. Um, this is going to be like a little sketch. It looks pretty good, I think. And then let's see. There. There. Let's see if it like. Okay, now what about some straight teeth? Or maybe not? Oh, this is looking good. And then I probably should have it as sharp rather than jaggies. Two, three, four. Hmm. Symmetry. Here we go. And there we go. Do. Well, if anyone else is watching this, or watches this in the future, then please tell me how you're doing, you know? It'll definitely help out a lot, and it's just good to hear how others are doing. And yeah, wait a minute. I just remember that I had some images, like reference images that I'd actually downloaded beforehand for a different one of these images. Also, here's a reminder for everybody to drink some water. Getting up some of those references. Whoop. Let's see. There we go. Uh, do, 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 do. There we go. So let's see. Hold on a minute. Always got an idea, because I'm almost damn near positive that nobody's watching my stream. Yeah. Oh. Well, let's see. I might get some friends involved. Do. And some people are responding. Let's hope that they will join. Gotta get the audio stuff set up now. Yeah. And then Alright then. Where is it? Okay, I don't know if, oh, oh, okay. All is good in the world. Okay. Whew. Oh boy. Um, let's hope that, some friends join. Um, I really hope they do. God, that sense of overwhelming loneliness is really setting in. Don't you just love it? The overwhelming sensation that you are alone and will never amount to anything. No matter how important you may seem, you are nothing in the great compared to the great vastness of non-existence. I've contemplated stuff like that before, just like, well, not like becoming non-existence, but like the philosophical ideas of worth and so on and so forth. I enjoy philosophy. You know, probably one of the biggest, uh, what's it called? Like, one of my favorite YouTubers is called Exurb1A or Exurbia. I'm not quite sure how you actually are meant to pronounce it. But they I got a lot of my knowledge of philosophy from there. And when I had uh like a college philosophy class, because like, by the way, I was like in early college, and um I I already knew everything. Or almost everything. And I was ecstatic, like, oh my god, I know this stuff. Right? I got to feel smart. Meanwhile, the entire rest of the of like my class group, they hated it. They hated philosophy class. And more than likely the reason why is because they weren't used to metacognition and such, so they just they Their brains were not trained for the art of philosophy. Because philosophy is very much an art. And then